Hey, it's Sebastian, and today we are going to be looking at some of the questions you guys had for the Conrad room tour video. We'll be taking questions from that video as well as from the Instagram posts asking for questions. This is a bit of a different format, so if you like videos like this, give this a thumbs up. Lets me know that I should do stuff like this. The reason I wanted to test this format is because I feel like a lot of people were asking the same questions, and this is probably the best way to help those people as well as other people who probably have the same questions. One thing I know people will be worried about is the devaluation for some Hilton properties, and it doesn't seem like it's affecting this one. It's not affecting Koh Samui, it's not affecting the Conrad and the Waldorf Astoria in the Maldives, so a lot of these YOLO properties are unaffected. 80,000 points is a bargain, and even if they did raise it to 95,000 points, that still makes a lot of sense. I would rather sign up for a card and get one night there rather than paying out of pocket, spending money that I'm already going to spend on rents versus paying straight out of pockets. We'll start off with the YouTube questions first and then dive into the Instagram ones. Let's go. In case you don't know what video we're talking about, it's going to be this one, and either go check it out right now and have it open along with this video, probably mute that one, or go check that one out afterwards. Can you talk about how you purchased or used points for the flights and also your process for using the free night certificate and points for the booking? In terms of searching for availability, it's pretty straightforward. Go to their site, turn on points, so tick it off, and then ideally click flexible. That way you can kind of see a lot of different dates. So looking at some dates that are coming up right now, and then looking for some dates that are a bit further down the road. In general, for most of these type of aspirational properties, you either want to book about a year out when they come out, or just as far out as possible when they come out, and also in a short amount of time, just because some people do cancel it if they decide that the trip isn't for them. So points are pretty straightforward. The free night certificate, pretty much the same idea. Search for availability first using the points method, and then you have to call in order for them to use it. I kind of hate this aspect, but it's still worth it to me and it makes a lot of sense. For the points for the flight side, we actually ended up using cash for this, and the big reason was because we were doing a status challenge for Delta because we were moving from United to Delta at that point. So it didn't really make sense to use points for business class. And also the flight is relatively short, to me at least, that it didn't really make sense to do anything. It didn't seem that interesting. Looking at the products that were available, it just seems like a pretty boring flight. It seems more like a transcontinental, so New York to San Francisco type flight, rather than what you would expect from international business class. We could have used Chase points for that 1.5 cents per point back, but it still didn't really make sense for me just because I would rather use my Chase points towards Hyatt redemptions, just because there's a bit more value there, rather than locking in 1.5 cents per points. Recently, there's also been some fair deals from SFO where it includes the PPT to BOB route, so about $1,000 all in. It's amazing how one can be rewarded just by being responsible with money. For me, these type of trips are the things that make credit card points very interesting. So yes, I could save some money for some normal trips, but for those I don't really mind paying money out of pocket as much. This is stuff that I otherwise probably wouldn't pay for. Most people you're meeting there are spending between $10,000 to $25,000 for their trip, typically once in their lifetime because it's a honeymoon trip, and for us we're going back again because I can save a lot of money by using points. Breakdown explaining how you did this trip. For the Conrad, we were using Hilton points as well as certificate nights from the Aspire card, and then for IHG Thalasso, we were using the free anniversary night certificates as well as one set of points, so 70,000 points. Flights we paid for, boat transfers we paid for, but those were pretty reasonable. Food, it was either free due to status for breakfast, and then for a lot of the dinner meals, we ended up paying out of pocket, but we were also kind of doing some IF, intermittent fasting type stuff, so it wasn't really as big of a deal. What card did you use? Was it a hotel card that you had a lot of points on? So I actually went through all of the Hilton cards, the no annual fee one, the Ascend one, as well as the Aspire one, just because the cards make a lot of sense. You have outs, you have downgrade paths into that no annual fee card, and arguably the optimal setup long term if you are someone that travels, especially if you want to take vacations like this, is to have 2 or to have 3 Aspire cards by upgrading those cards afterwards when you have upgrade offers. So right now there's upgrade offers for 150,000 points to upgrade each level. Yes, there is minimum spend involved, but that's still more points. And at the end, for most people, having those Aspire cards just give you a ton of value. Looking at the math, it just makes sense. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, I'd recommend watching some of our Aspire videos because I feel like I've talked in depth on that topic, but It's just a card that is very, very good. On that note, if you are someone who wants to learn more about Hilton cards, we do have links on our site, as well as in the description box down below. Debbie, so I am confused. How much cash did you actually pay for the room? We paid 1,500 francs for the shuttle from the main town, Vitape, to the property. That's about $14 US. We ended up doing late checkout and taking the shuttle from the property to the airports for 13,560 francs, which is about $130. The only other fees were the city tax for 400 and the eco reef fee for 200. So about $5.69 per day. So $5.60 per day plus the points that you're using, which obviously have a bit of value as well. And then if you wanted to play it cheap, you would take the shuttle between the property as well as the main town for about $15. And then if you wanted to take the one directly to the airport, it's more expensive. The reason we took that more expensive shuttle on the way back when we were leaving is, so we did late checkout because I really liked the property that much, just to snorkel a bit more. The other really good thing they ended up doing was moving our flights for free. So they contacted the airline, which I guess is all connected because of how everything is there. So they called the airline and moved us on the next flight, and there wasn't any fees for that. Jumping over to the Instagram questions. How many ultimate reward points did you use to book your flight to Bora Bora? We talked about this in one of the other questions, but it would have been about 60,000 points. If you're repositioning from somewhere else, maybe a bit more due to the fact that you have to take that additional flight. We didn't do that because I don't really like using my chase points that way, but it's very viable if you want to minimize the cost out of pockets. How many days would you recommend setting aside for a trip like Bora Bora with travel dates included? This is for someone coming from the East Coast. From the East Coast, I think it's a bit tough, so you're looking at least 1 week, maybe 7 to 10 days, depending on how many vacation days you can get. The rationale being that you probably want at least 6 days in Bora Bora. For us, we did 4 days at IHG Thalasso and then 2 nights in the Conrad. And then we did 1 burner night at the airport hotel that was by the airports. The reason for that night is because the flight is in the morning, but you get back to the PPT airport at night. So you basically have like 6 to 10 hours. We could have used our points at one of the other properties, but we were dead by that time anyway. So we basically went to the room, showered because we were sweaty, and then went to sleep. I think 6 to maybe 8 nights on resorts would be pretty good. But for us, I think if we went more than 8, it would start to get a bit boring. I'm someone that really likes snorkeling though, so for me it's pretty good experience anyways, even if I'm just swimming around the resort. I think I went off on a tangent, but 1 day to get to the West Coast probably in terms of flight, and then probably 1 day to get to PPT Bora Bora area, and 6 nights there, and then back. So you're looking at least 10 nights. What was the process and timeline for booking flights? How far in advance? Did you use positioning flights? What about the flight to Bora Bora? How far on that one? So a lot of the flights were pretty last minute by a lot of people's standards. We booked about 2 to 3 months out for the flights. The rationale was that it was a bit cheaper and there were some deals, so it worked out pretty well. For the PPT to Bora Bora flight, it was also, I think, 1 or 2 months out, just because we were trying to see if there were any better prices that would come up. Didn't really change that much, but it was fine. If you're using points for business class, then you might want to book a lot farther out. If you are doing these last minute ones, even if you look right now, there's a bunch of deals for June. Either pay out of pocket, use the Chase portal, or use something like the Capital One Venture Miles in order to kind of make the trip a bit more reasonable. How many total points did you use for this day, and what was the total cost of the trip? So Mandy will be doing a few of those videos in the future, so I don't want to take her thunder. So she'll cover that. Go check out her channel, Mandy Roams. I'm going the Marriott route for the honeymoon, and I haven't booked yet. If you could mention the Marriott strategy for Bora Bora, that would be awesome. You pretty much have 2 options there, the Le Méridien as well as for the St. Regis. We'll be showing off both of the properties soon, so you'll see some more footage there. Pricing is a lot more expensive now since they added that Category 8, and if you're going during peak season, it's going to be even more expensive. The strategy would probably be going during the shoulder seasons, so a bit off season, but you still get pretty good weather, and maybe even preferable if you're someone like me who sweats a lot and who overheats. For your upgrades, did they give it to you at the check-in, or did you confirm it before arriving? Doing this trip next June, don't devalue Hilton points. At 80,000 points, it's still probably one of the best use of Hilton points. Even if they raised it to 95, I think it's worth doing. In terms of the upgrade, I didn't tell Mandy this, so she might have answered some of the comments on the YouTube video a bit differently, but I knew that we actually got the upgrade the night beforehand. The reason was because I checked the app and it showed that we got the upgrade, but I didn't tell Mandy because I wanted it to be a surprise. One final thing too is that I think the Conrad is one of the best properties where even if you don't get that overwater villa experience, you have a really cool property just because it has the best snorkeling of a lot of the properties. When you snorkel, make sure to go under the main building, so the one where the boats come in, because that one goes pretty deep and there's a lot of different schools of fish that swim throughout the day. On that note, hopefully this video was helpful. If you want to support the channel, we have links on our site for a lot of cards. You can also check out our Instagram page as well as our other YouTube channels that are more travel oriented. Also did a video talking about how to save money if you're going to Bora Bora, if you don't mind burning some time, if you want to check out the tape anyways, in order to not take the shuttle from the main airports from BOB to your resort. For me, I think it was worth it, but just really depends on you and the experience you want to have. Hopefully that was helpful, and my question for you guys is, do you want me to do more of these question videos that I answer your questions? Also in general, do you want to see more travel stuff? There's the Koh Samui room tour, which is an amazing property that I've kind of held off on just because you guys don't seem to like travel stuff, but I'm kind of getting different vibes. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps us out. If you know anyone else who'd benefit from what we just talked about, feel free to share the video with them because it's probably going to help them out. But otherwise, hope you guys liked it. See you guys next time.